Hello, everybody. So I realized that I rarely introduce myself at the beginning of these videos, and I feel like I probably should since people might find the replay. So welcome to my channel. My name is Evelyn of Pink Sheep Design, and I am a crochet designer specializing in chunky and super chunky patterns that are beginner friendly. And today is my regularly scheduled Tuesday live. Usually on Tuesdays, I try to have some kind of topic so that I can stay focused and share some good stuff with you guys. So per request, I actually had a request to talk today about going live. So it kind of feels like Inception, I guess, so I'm going live to talk about going live. So hello everybody, welcome. I see Samantha, another cloudy day. Ellen is here. It's time for yarn is here, and actually it's time for yarn, who asked if I could give some tips on going live. So I actually have a whole bunch of notes today, so hopefully that will be helpful. Quickly, I have a few things that I get to share with you guys because you joined in on my live, and I love getting to share little snippets of new things with you all. I am currently working on it. I may work on it a little bit during this live if I can manage to crochet and chat at the same time. Taking apart an old project, which I do a lot, and as I frog this, I'm making something new. And this is actually a crop top that I am about to announce a call for testers for. So if anyone is interested in testing my next crop top design, this is going to be the Nancy bralette. It's really more a bralette than a crop top. It's not going to have a ton of coverage because it's meant to be more like just a bra. I designed it for myself as like a bra replacement. I have, I think, 6 of them now because I wear them all the time. But this one has a great modification for thicker straps to go over the shoulder. So that's what I'm working on right now. And let's see who else has joined us. Emma, Pixie Stitch is here, the Yarn Fairy. And Emma says, oh my gosh, Evelyn, you look like Max. Yes, so that is another thing that I just shared a sneak peek of this jacket that I'm wearing on Instagram. If you watch Stranger Things, if you are a Stranger Things fan, this is my Max jacket. It is designed to look just like the jacket that Max wore in the season 4 of Stranger Things. I am going to add a zipper, but I decided to add this border of yellow because the zipper in the jacket is yellow. And if someone doesn't want to add a zipper, they still have that look of having the yellow down the center. But I added the pockets. So those are really nice. And I did have someone ask me, so, and this goes back to, I did a whole video about doing getting sponsored by yarn companies and things. So this jacket was sponsored, the yarn was sponsored by Universal Yarn. I used their Superwash Bulky. They did provide a discount code for me to share with my testers. So if you do decide to test this jacket, I'm not going to require people to use the same color combo. So I think that'll be really fun to see what people come up with for their striping and things. But that'll be coming up soon as well. I have notes for this jacket. It is not written up yet. Whereas, like I said, this one that I'm working on, this will be ready for a call for testers this week, actually. So be on the lookout to test the Nancy bralette if you want to. It will be size inclusive as well. Like I said, I don't know the much larger sizes. So if you're a G or let's see, a double D, and F might be pushing it. If you're higher than that, I'm not sure. That's why I definitely want to get a lot of testers who are maybe a little bit larger chested to try this, because I don't know yet. I don't know how it's going to work. I know the Phoebe did really well, but the Nancy's a little different. Let's see. Emma says, I finished my supersized mega fluffy Dobby cardigan. I will post pictures when I'm not going to die of a heat stroke. I can't wait to see it. I think that's going to be awesome. I'm excited. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to share, so that was Nancy bralette, Max jacket. One more thing, you guys get the sneak peek because it just came in a couple of days ago. But I know a lot of you guys voted, and you can see this will be the next design release coming up. I have to look. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it this month or next month, but that is what it looks like. And this is the tank top that I have in my Etsy shop. So I'm super excited that that is here. It's ready. I also got a bag for this one. I think I'm going to do a giveaway for the bag. Let's see. I'll show you. Oh, here we go. So this is what it looks like on the bag. There's the bag. So this bag is not actually listed anywhere. This style of bag, this is not the bags off of Bonfire. This is more of an oversized tote bag that I get through the same company that sells these on my Etsy shop. So the bags on my Bonfire shop are a little smaller, and they're actually a little more, this one is almost like a tan color, and I feel like the ones in the Bonfire shop are more of a true canvas tote bag in that natural color. Okay, let's see. Okay, so those are all the updates. So we are going to dive right into my notes today, and we're going to talk about going live here on the live. So first things first, be sure to, if you have questions about going live, specific questions that you have or concerns that you have, maybe you've thought about going live, but there have been things that have held you back from making the jump and trying it, let me know in the comments and I'll write them down and we can address them here on the live. Okay, so got my coffee. We are ready to go. So hopefully my notes will not confuse me. Sometimes I get confused by my own notes. But the first thing that I wrote down was to plan ahead and to have a plan. And Emma just asked about overcoming anxiety, so I'm going to write that down. And I truly think that the anxiety side, by having a plan, really helps with that a little bit, because you know what you're going to talk about. You know, you're not just going on just to try it. Oh, and that reminds me, I want to talk about going live with other people first. All right. So planning ahead and having a plan is number one. And along with that, that means deciding, the first thing is deciding what you're going to talk about. So why don't I start by kind of giving an idea of how I started going live. Before I had my YouTube channel, I only had my Instagram. And one of the goals that I've had as a brand, for my brand, is to be very approachable. I don't ever want, I feel like there are certain people within the crochet community who, the Instagram that they have may not feel like, when you look at their Instagram feed, you may think, well, if I send them a message, there's no way they're going to answer. Maybe they don't answer any of the comments on their photos. There's not a lot of back and forth interaction, if that makes sense. So I always wanted to maintain that for Pink Sheep. I wanted to be a brand that is responsive. I want people to feel like they can approach me with questions. I want to be accessible, so if someone has a question about a pattern or if they want to see what I'm working on. So naturally, photos are great. But I really wanted the opportunity to actually interact with people. And with COVID, that was something, we weren't spending a lot of time with people in person. And that was right around the time that I started going live. I wanted to talk to you guys, I wanted to come on. And I think that's a big driving force to overcoming the social anxiety, is if, I was anxious when I first started going live, because I knew that people would want to come on my live, but my followers are all over the place. So even if I even if they want to come on my live, what if I choose a time when nobody's available to be online, you know? So it's not that I never worried about people not wanting to join at all, but I did have that fear of going live and the number at the top that shows how many people are watching staying at 0 the whole time. And we'll talk about that too. So when I first started going live, my focus was I just want to go live and give updates. So I can do that on a weekly basis or maybe every 2 weeks, but there's plenty to share. You know, I'm going to be working on something. I've probably got some new yarn that I can talk about. I may have finished a new pattern. I may be about to do a call for testers. I could talk about if I got a new hook or if we printed a new hook. You know, there's a lot of different things that I knew that I could share that were just updates. And I think when I started, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure when I first started out, that I was only going to go live as long as it took for me to give my updates, you know. So I wasn't saying I'm going to have to stay on here for an hour. I just said I'm going to come on, see how it goes, see who's on there, you know, run through all of my updates. I did usually have a little list of the things that I wanted to talk about. Maybe we put some new things in the Etsy shop too. There were all of these things. And this was before I was really big into my newsletter too. So this was kind of my virtual newsletter to come on and share things with everyone. And there were a few times where I would come on and maybe 1 or 2 people were on there, maybe 0 for a while. But, and I'll talk about this a little bit more too in my notes, but I just pushed through because here's the thing. Even if you go live, you have this list of things to talk about. If 0 people join your live, that live is still going to get posted to your feed. You have to manually post it at the end, but you can post it to your feed and people can rewatch it. They can comment on it later. So don't get too bogged down. You know, in all honesty, it should be better because you're like, well, nobody's watching. So I don't know, you know, if I screw up, there's nobody there to, you know, to give me a hard time about it because nobody's watching the live. But if you think about it from the point of content, you're always creating content, then even if nobody joins in the live or there's only 1 or 2 people, you've still created content. You've taken time to create that. And that content you can repost to your feed. You can post it in your stories and say, hey, there's a new video on my Instagram feed now. If you guys want to go check it out, I gave, you know, my weekly updates if you want to see what's happening in my world. And then you can also, what I usually do is I'll download the YouTube video, the Instagram video, and then I'll repost it to YouTube so that then it's in 2 separate places for 2 different audiences. And so it's not a loss if people don't show up. And I think I definitely had some anxiety there of not having, you know, what if nobody joins? So having a plan and planning ahead, what are you going to talk about? So again, I started off by just giving updates. So what's going on? What new yarn am I working with? What new projects am I working on? Have I learned anything new? Have we added anything new to the Etsy shop? But there's tons of things you can talk about. So let's go through some of those since I'm talking about that. You can do a tour of all of your work in progress pieces. So a tour of whips. You can go through some of the things that you finished. If you crochet quickly, you may be one of those people who you can go live just to talk about all the things you finished that week or that month or however often you want to go live. Yarn hauls, if you love going out and shopping for new yarn, I know a lot of people love to watch that. You can give your initial opinion on the new yarn that you've got, and you can talk about if you've used it before, what you're going to use it for now, and talk all about the new yarn that you purchased. Talk about where you got it from. If it was a sale somewhere, you may be helping someone out. Let's see. You can do a tour of your office or your yarn or your workspace. I've done those before. You can talk about how you organize your yarn or your finished projects, or anything else, your tools. I have some more too. Let's see. I wrote a bunch of these down. I need to do a blog post with all of these ideas for you guys. You can host a Q&A. That was one of my first YouTube videos. So one of my first YouTube videos, I came on and I was just available to answer questions. Here's a quick tip. If you use your Instagram stories, so if you create an Instagram story and you add a sticker, so make your Instagram story, add a sticker or a Q&A, a questions sticker. So I think it just says questions, but you can put like ask me anything and people can actually input questions in the story. If you go live on Instagram within, I think, 24 hours of posting that story, then when you go live, it will populate those questions in the question box during your live. So if you plan ahead and you know you're going to go live on Tuesday, on Monday, you could do a question box in your stories and have people submit questions for you, and then you'll be able to answer those on your live. So that's super helpful. Okay, you could announce pattern or product releases on a live. You could, I already said behind the scenes workspace or yarn room. Let's see, you could review a new yarn or a new product that you found. So if you have purchased something that's really cool, you could do a quick review on the product. You could answer any questions people have. You could talk about new yarn that you've purchased. You could work with it a little bit on the live and kind of give your thoughts. You can recommend favorite yarn or tools. So seasonally, I like to do that seasonally. You could do your top 5 to 10 yarn picks for summer or for fall and what you make with those items. You could do your favorite tools. So if you have favorite hooks, if you have other favorite things, like if you wanted to talk about yarn winders or swifts or pom-pom makers, I don't know, anything you use, stitch markers, you can talk about those things too. And then of course you can share tips, tricks, etc., which is what I'm doing today. So this used to actually be called Tip Tuesday when I went live, but I couldn't always come up with tips. So now it's just Tuesday live, and sometimes it's a tips Tuesday, which is today. So let's see. So that's the main thing. Plan ahead and have a goal, have a plan, take some notes if you need to, for sure. I always had a little list of here's all the things that I need to talk about. And I would, if I wanted to show things on the live, I would pack a little box up because I usually did these outside, and I would have a box of goodies that I was going to show off, and I would take it all outside and I'd set my camera up or my phone, and I would go live and talk about them. And again, if I went through periods of time where nobody was watching, I just kept on going with what I needed to talk about, because if I stopped and I was like, oh, well, nobody's on here, so I guess I won't say anything, then when people go to rewatch the video, they're going to get to that point and be like, okay, so I just have to sit here and pause because nobody was watching at that point. So keep it moving, keep talking. And you can still ask questions. So that was something that I wrote down. While you're live, you can continue to ask questions, because even if nobody's watching or nobody answers them, people may comment later. I have had people who answer questions from my videos, like this YouTube video, in the comment section when they rewatch it. So you can still ask your questions even if nobody's there, because you have to think about that rewatch factor and people wanting to come on and they'll want to answer the question. So they'll answer it in the comments on Instagram or in the comments on YouTube. So don't worry, again, don't worry and focus. Don't focus on those numbers. All right, so tell people that you're going live and schedule it. So this is super important, especially because one of the main things for me, I knew that consistency is key with everything. So consistency in posting on Instagram, consistency in communication. And so I knew that when I started going live, I needed to pick a time and a day that worked for me so people could start to anticipate what was coming. They know, most people, if you follow me, you know I go live Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Central, Fridays at 12 p.m. Central. And the reason I did that is because I wanted people to have that so that they knew they didn't have to keep guessing and wondering when I'm going to pop in and go live. Now, sometimes now I'm a lot more comfortable in front of the camera. So sometimes I'll just go live. If I just have something I want to chat about, I'll go live randomly. And again, usually my stats aren't very good when I do that because nobody knows it's happening. So Instagram really has to push that, or YouTube has to push that out. And sometimes that doesn't work. But that's why usually I've picked a time that works. I stick with that time and I still announce it. So YouTube allows you to pre-schedule pre-schedule live streams. I do it from my phone. I'll pre-schedule it on my phone. Instagram now allows you to pre-schedule live streams. So if you go into Instagram, you hit the little plus button and drop it down to live. You can click on live. It won't go live immediately. It'll pop up on a screen and you can choose a little calendar icon and you can pre-schedule. You can schedule that live for however far in advance you want. And the cool thing is that live schedule shows up on your profile. So if someone visits your profile, they can see that you have a live stream coming up and they can click and get a reminder. So super, super cool. And then obviously with YouTube, you can pre-schedule and the people that are subscribed to your channel can get reminders and notifications when you schedule a live. So scheduling it is very important. You can also schedule it on, what's it called? Facebook, I think you can schedule Facebook Live. So you do want to focus on where your audience is. When you go live, I go live on Instagram and on YouTube because it's a different audience. I have people who don't have Instagram accounts that I wanted to be able to chat with, and this is an easier platform for some people. So I do both. I go live on Instagram, I go live on YouTube. Now, I have a Facebook group that has continued to grow, and you can go live in Facebook groups. And I have not scheduled a live for my Facebook group, but I've tested the waters and just randomly gone live. And I've had maybe 1 or 2 people join, so I don't feel like that's where I need to go live just yet. I may look to that in the future, or may schedule live specifically for the Facebook group just to hang out and chat with them, but I have not done that yet. So but knowing where your people are, Instagram was really my focus for a really long time because that was the majority of my following. But I started getting involved on YouTube and I realized it's such a great tool. And then I realized there's a great community over here too it's a different community, you know. So now I do both. Okay, let me check the comments before, because I will ramble and I'll just keep going. Let's see. A lot of anxiety questions. It's the not being able to edit that makes me nervous since things are happening live. And I think with that, in this day and age, people appreciate it because it's reality. We're not perfect. And so there's almost a connection when you make mistakes or maybe can't. I struggle with finding my words sometimes. So I'll know that there's a word in my head that I'm looking for and then end up having to use a different one. And I'm like, oh, that was awful. And then I get off the live and I'm like, oh, that was the word I was looking for. So I think people appreciate the realness. And there's that, I think it's helpful for self-acceptance too. And I see someone mentioned that. Thorn is here. Hello, Thorn. Something that held me back a long time was my stuttering. Yes, and you said you inspired them with your self-acceptance. And I think that's the positive side. If you want to go live, then you shouldn't allow things like that to keep you from going live. There are going to be awful people out there, no matter where you are. I had to have someone, Ellen, joined me as an admin for my YouTube to help me monitor, because I've had people who've come on my lives kind of trolly trying to do things, and you find your help that way too. But I'm very accepting of myself. I know that I have shortcomings, but I love getting to go live and interact, so and again, I was very anxious at first, but it really is practice. It really does help. And not, again, forcing yourself to try to go live for an hour the first time you go live. Have your list of things, get through them, I would say, I have it written down here somewhere, I would definitely go for about 20 minutes if you can. Because if it's really, really short, I mean, if you're here, if you go live for 5 to 10 minutes, it oftentimes is not long enough for Instagram, YouTube, all of those places to send out alerts and get people onto your live. So I would aim for minimum 15 minutes, 15 to 20. And then you can stay on as long as you want. But I'm a talker, so it's never really been a problem, except for when I feel like I don't have anything to talk about. But usually I can, if I get a couple of comments, I can really expound on my answers to those comments. So that's been helpful for me. I have mega social anxiety and generalized anxiety. It's a pain. And honestly, I think for some reason, going live, it wasn't as scary as I thought, because you have people commenting, but they're not reacting in real time. I mean, if I tell a joke, and nobody laughs, in a room full of people, then that's pretty detrimental. It can feel pretty bad, but when you're live, you have no idea. I mean, and there's no way to know. And sometimes that's a little scary, but sometimes it's very freeing, because you can just be yourself. You can just be yourself. And the people who don't want to watch are not going to want to watch, and those are not your people. And the people who enjoy, listening to you talk and listening to your jokes or your sense of humor are going to come back, and they're going to hang out, and they're going to want to be a part of it. And you want it to be your people. You don't want to just have numbers for the sake of numbers. You want to have the right people that are joining in, that are going to want to comment and are going to want to, be a part of the conversation. It's time for yarn says, you are certainly nailing being approachable. Woohoo! Big goal. Thorn says, I have that goal too, being approachable. It's one reason I really look up to you. I appreciate it. I try my best. Pixie, same here. Emma. Hello, Tracy. Welcome, welcome. It's time for yarn says, I have the same thought. If no one's watching, then they won't see me mess up in real time. I actually think that would be better for the first couple of lives. Exactly. There you go. That's what I think. And honestly, just don't even look at the number. If it's possible, I mean, it's right here, like YouTube, it's right up here in the corner, and I can see how many people are here and who are watching. So sometimes it's hard to ignore, but try your best to stay focused on what you're talking about, what you're sharing. And if you like talking about yarn and projects, it's going to be pretty easy once you get comfortable in front of the camera. When I have all of these notes and I get to rambling, I enjoy talking, and I enjoy, getting to interact. So it takes a little bit of time to build up your audience, but, even if you have 2 people, show up for those 2 people. So if you plan out these lives and say, I'm going to go live once a month, 3rd Friday of the month, I'm going live, and you can start talking about that and sharing that. And, a couple of days before the live, start sharing it again, that, you're going live. This is where it's scheduled. I share the link to the YouTube video that's pre-scheduled. And say, I'm excited for you guys to join me. And, if you can't show up for those 2 people, if you can't keep that consistency for those 2 people, how are you going to show up for hundreds? Heard that once, and it really stuck. So, I think on YouTube, I usually have anywhere from 9 to 20 people that join in my YouTube videos. And there are probably people out there who say, isn't that a waste of time for you to go live and take an hour out of your day to talk to the same 9 people? To me, it's not, because that's the goal of my brand. I want to be here. I want to be present. And so you can't, like I said, you can't let those numbers make you crazy and make you give up on what you want to do. Let's see. Where are we? And Cameron says, hi, sorry I'm late. Welcome, Cameron. No worries. Okay. Emma says, the Yarn Fairy says, do you need permission from companies to review their products? Some have brand ambassadors, so there's the potential of stepping on toes. No. You can review products as much as you want. There is no, I mean, you're not giving things away. You're not doing anything like that. You know, you can, I mean, if someone wants to get upset, they can, but there's no reason for that. The only difference with the brand ambassador is they're probably getting sent the items. They may have a discount code to share with people. But if you're just giving your honest opinion, some people are really going to like that. If you are just giving your honest opinion because it wasn't sent to you for free, they're not going to feel like maybe you have to say positive things because they sent you that. And I have to say that feeling is real. I have had companies who send me yarn, and I kind of feel like I need to make sure that I say positive things because they sent it to me for free. I try to be as honest as possible because I'm not just going to dog the yarn or the product, you know, if they send it to me. But there's definitely that feeling of, if they sent this to me for free, I feel like I should try to find the positives, even if maybe I don't like the product. So I feel like the true, honest reviews from people who spend their money to purchase the item can be even more helpful sometimes than someone who is a brand ambassador who's being paid to promote the products or to review the products. Let's see. Emma, how did your colorful table and chairs go in your garden? No update yet. It's been so hot. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chairs, 8 chairs. Yeah, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 chairs. But I have to clean them all. They sat outside for so long that the coating started to peel off, which is good because that makes it easier to clean it all the way off to get that finish off of the wood. And I think I've cleaned all but 2 chairs. Once they're cleaned and I've taken all of the cushions off of them, I painted one, but we realized it'd be easier to spray them with the paint. So once I finish those 2, then we'll actually spread all of them out and spray them, which is going to be a lot faster once we're ready. But we've had heat advisories almost every day. So being outside with chemicals and in the heat, not so much. So it's been put on hold, but it's still happening, I promise. And I will definitely let you guys know what happens as I continue with that process. Okay, let's see. Helen's here too. Hello, Helen. Pixie Stitch says, I have panic disorder, so I was thinking about making a short PSA video about it in case I ever have to end a live. Sometimes just feeling like I have a way out can be the difference in not having a full-blown anxiety attack. That's true. That's true. And you can even share about that a little bit. I think sometimes sharing some of the things that we deal with is one of the ways that we can connect with people, and people feel like, you know, like they've got that deeper connection with you because they kind of know a little bit about what you're going through. You know, I try to be an open book. I like to share some personal things. You don't have to share everything going on in your life. I think it's probably better if you don't. I think that some things are, you know, unless it's a personal blog. If you want to just do a personal blog or a personal YouTube channel where you just talk about your life, that's one thing. But finding a good balance is important. I think people want to get to know you. So, you know, there are times where I'll share books that I'm reading that's not crochet related at all. You know, if I'm not feeling well, sometimes I'll talk about that. I've shared things that I've gone through in the past. So I had, you know, my hysterectomy a couple years ago. I'm very open about that. That was a difficult time, you know, especially the downtime and the healing time after, not being able to be as present as Pink Sheep and as the brand. So you can definitely share things that you're going through, and being honest with people. People appreciate the honesty. Thorn says, I find that going live can be similar to any time being on stage. The audience almost becomes this faceless blob and you don't feel their presence as much. True. Very true. It's time for yarn says, that makes perfect sense, Thorn. I've never thought of it that way. There you go. Let's see. Bum, 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 bum. Thorn, if it's a smaller live, I worry less about my comment being seen. True. Yep. Socially anxious here too. Glad I'm not the only one, says Cameron. Definitely not the only one. And you're going to go through, if you get to a point where you start scheduling lives, there are going to be days when you don't want to go live. And if it's my advice, push through and go live. And you can mention it. Be like, man, I really wasn't feeling it today, but I'm here. I've got my coffee. I'm ready to go. Let's chat. You know, for me, I feed off of the people who come on my live. So even when I don't want to go live, I know that those 9 to 20 people are there and I'm going to get to hang out with them for a little while, and it can be as casual as I want it to be. I don't always have to have a specific topic. I can just come on and chat. And so I think pushing through, sticking with your consistency when you can. Obviously, if you're having a major panic attack, I'm not saying to push through and go live, but I'm saying for me, I attune it to, you know, I wouldn't always want to go into work, and this is my full-time job now. So there are some days where you know, maybe I just want to stay in bed or take a nap or watch TV instead of going live, but I see this as my job. I see this as I want to stay consistent for everyone. So I push through and I go live. So, okay, let me make sure I get through my notes. I'll come back to the comments in just a minute. Let's see. So we talked about scheduling. Make sure you schedule your live and make sure you talk about it. So schedule it at least a few days in advance. Don't wait till the very last minute. I've done that. I actually waited until the day before I was going live, or maybe the day of, and it wouldn't let me schedule it at that point. I just had to go live, and a lot of people missed the notification because I didn't pre-schedule it. Once it's scheduled, so once you have the live scheduled on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, share it wherever you're able to share it and want to share it. If you have an email list, you can share it to the email list. You can post about it on Instagram, on your feed. You can post about it in your stories. You could post a reel about it. So if you are doing a certain topic, you could do a fun little reel to say that your live is coming up. Once you schedule your post on Instagram, or your live, once you schedule your live, you can click on that, like go to your profile, and where it shows up on your profile, click on it, and it'll give you the option to share that event as a post. If you do that and you share it, then people can get a reminder from the post on your feed. It also creates a little thumbnail. Whatever picture you used for the post, that little thumbnail shows up on the little live reminder on your profile. So I always do that now. It makes just another easy way for people to click to get a reminder when I go live on Instagram. And then you can share that post to your stories. And then from their stories, they can also get a reminder. So sharing it in all of these different places. Now I have my Facebook group. If you guys aren't a part of that, go check it out. It is Pink Sheep Design on Facebook. You can just search Facebook communities / Facebook groups. Pink Sheep Design should pop up. It should also be in the description of the video. I think I've got it down there, the link. So I share it in my Facebook group when I'm going to go live, usually, 2 to 3 days before I'll post about it. And then the day before or the day of, I'll post about it again. I say post about it at least 2 to 3 times. So post about it far enough in advance that people can see that reminder at least twice. At least that's how I do it. But I definitely think there's something to the idea with marketing. They always say with marketing, people need to see something a couple of times before they actually go buy the product. It needs to pop up on their feed a couple of times before they pursue it further. So I've always been of the mindset that I want to put out a few reminders. So let's say, for instance, every Friday I go live with, it's Pink Sheep and Friends. So I do interviews and chats with other people in the crochet community. I post about it first on Wednesday, so that's my first post talking about it on my Instagram feed. I'll share it in my stories a few times, and I'll also share it to my Facebook page and group. And then the day before, I'll usually post it in stories again before I go live. So for me, I really only do one post about it, but this is every week now. So since it's every week, I don't feel like it's as necessary for me to post about it 2 times in advance, because I can put it in my posts, I can put it in my stories. You know, people who are following me are going to see past posts in my feed, you know, that say, what's it called? That say that I've been going live every Friday, you know. So I think that has made it a little bit easier for me. I don't have to post about things as much. Let's see. Oh, notes, stay focused. Okay. So we talked about this already, but stick with your plan. So whatever you had planned to talk about, stick with that. Have you some little notes, you know, so you know you don't forget anything. Stay as calm as possible. I know I definitely get like the sweats. I'll get a little sweaty, you know, so put on your deodorant if you know, in case, you know, and then you'll feel a little better, feel a little fresher. And again, even if it says that no one's watching, keep going. And that's where I talk about, you'll be able to post the video to your feed or to your YouTube channel or to your Facebook page so people can see the replay. So don't focus on the number of people watching or talk about it during the live. So don't say, oh, nobody's watching, I guess I just will hang out until someone joins. Because again, you're gonna repost this so that the people watching the replay can watch it. So don't focus on your numbers. Take breaks to breathe and have like a beverage so that you can take a break, drink some water, drink some coffee. Don't feel like you have to talk the whole time. I get that way. I feel like I have to fill all the dead space. I don't give myself time to just, let me take some coffee. I feel like that makes me more nervous than anything because I feel like I should just be talking the whole time. So give yourself permission to breathe. If you want to crochet on the live, my original crochet and chats were actually crochet and chats. So I would crochet and I would chat and I would take, you know, a few breaks if I had to count. You know, I would take a minute and I would just breathe. And then that gives people time to join. That gives people time to catch up, to maybe comment and ask a question. And then you can go from there and take some more coffee. Okay, let's see. Ask questions, even if it doesn't seem like anyone's watching. People may comment later. We talked about that. So if you have questions to ask people that you want to know, ask the questions for sure. Even if it says 0 people watching, ask the questions anyway. Okay, so here's a little of the technical side. All you really need to do this is your phone. All of my lives I do on my phone. I've used StreamYard before, so if you want to go live on YouTube and you want to like have a guest or something, StreamYard is great. It's free. You can use that. You have to connect it with your YouTube channel, but you can do that. Make sure you have a good internet connection. I struggle with that sometimes. I have a video that I went live and it was just awful. I was rewatching it and I was like, I probably should have ended this video, but it was a specific topic. So I knew that if people really wanted that information, then they could just listen. They could put their headphones in and listen because the audio was fine, but the video was pretty awful. Some of you guys may have been there when that video went down. All right, so good internet connection if possible. Have good light if you can. I have windows here and here. So I have pretty good light in here. Sometimes depends on the day if it's sunny, but I used to go outside for my lives. As long as my connection was still good, I would sit outside and that was really great lighting. So you can do that, or you can look for a ring light on Amazon. So the ring lights are pretty affordable. So if you have to go live in your basement or a space that doesn't have windows, get yourself a little ring light that you can place right behind your video. to shine a little bit more light on your face, and that will help make sure that the video quality is nice when people are watching and that they can see what's happening, especially if you're working with yarn or you're showcasing products. You're going to want some lighting, but that's really it. So tripod for your phone, definitely get a tripod for your phone. And actually on Amazon, there are quite a few tripods that have ring lights built in. So if you get a ring light tripod for your phone, then it's all built in for you, which is something I've been considering. So, because sometimes the lighting in here isn't as good as I would like it to be. So having some kind of small lighting piece would be nice to have. Okay, let's see. I said start small, plan for at least 20 minutes on your lives. Okay, so I have a few more things, but let's go through the questions first. We got about 15 minutes left. Okay. I lost track of where I was. Sorry, guys. Let's see. The Yarn Fairy says, thanks for the response and being frank about it. Your comments are very liberating to my thoughts about going live with regard to discussing products. Yes, discuss all the products you want. There is nothing that says you can't do that. Helen Dixon says, introvert here, not terribly good at small talk, much prefer to be on stage with a script. And that's why you have notes. These are my notes. So you don't have to do small talk. I like getting to welcome people into the, because I recognize people now. So I get to, welcome people onto the video and say hello. If I have things that I want to share, then I'll share them. But I like to have my notes. I like to have a list of things to talk about. And that is where this idea of a script comes in, having that thing to refocus yourself, because I'll get off on a tangent and I won't get through all of my notes. But I know some people, it's just losing that focus. Okay, now it's dead space and I can't remember what I was going to say. So definitely having some notes or some kind of plan, even if it's just an outline. Here are the bullet points. Here are the things I'm going to talk about. Like for me, finished my Max jacket, got a new design finished, working on a new crop top, just released my sunshine cardigan pattern. So I could have written each of those bullet points down, and I can talk a little bit about each one and ask if anyone has questions, but then I don't forget what I wanted to talk about, or I just have it all in front of me. So if I have my project and stuff, I can hold it up and show it. Okay. I'm losing my comments. I need to highlight these so I remember where I'm at. If someone else has that same issue, they may feel seen or represented by you being open about it. That is a big thing with the honesty, is talk. If you want to share your personal story, again, you don't have to go into crazy detail, but that's definitely a way to connect with people and to have, more of a connection than just the fact that they're there because you crochet. Being involved in theater, I do understand showing up for just 2 people. Yeah, as a teacher, I also understand that you can stand in front of a class of 35 and sometimes only 2 are present. Yes, definitely. You got it. Lauren says, thank you for sharing about that, Evelyn. I know it was an example, but I'm planning on a histo soon, so that's helpful to hear. Yes, reach out if you have any questions. It was rough. It was a rough recovery for me, and it's not as bad for everyone. But it's a difficult surgery. I know they do a lot of them, but it's a lot. It's a lot. Cameron, thanks for mentioning keeping some things private. I'm a really private person. I don't want to be an open book, but I worry that people will want or expect that. Yes, you get to choose. That's the beauty of it. If you want to share, let's see, something personal, could just be what books are you reading? What shows are you watching? It doesn't have to be how's your marriage or what are your kids up to? You know what I mean? Like you can pick and choose these things. You could share some of your other hobbies. So if you like to go hiking, if you like to bake, you can pick things that are personal to you but are not personal information, if that makes sense. So picking and choosing the topics that you want to share outside of that realm. I think a lot like gardening. That's a fun one that I get to share because my husband gardens, so he has this beautiful garden, so I can talk about that, and that's part of our personal life. It's not part of our business. But that's something that I'm comfortable sharing. So you can find the items that will connect you with people outside of just crochet, but it doesn't have to be about your personal life. Thorn says, even as open as I am, there are certain things or levels of detail I share on different platforms, and a lot of that I keep back or only share with close friends. And Helen says, Cameron, not everyone wants that. I've stopped following a few people who are very popular on social media because I couldn't stand hearing everything about their lives. Yes. There's also a difference between sharing and trauma dumping. If I'm talking about difficult topics in my life, I try to share that in a way that feels safe and comfortable for my listeners. Yeah, and I've heard that a lot. You don't want to turn your followers into the people that you rant to. I've definitely had some of those times where I've had friends that I had to kind of cut loose as friends because for me, I need positive people in my life. I need people who are, who have the positive outlook that I have because I definitely take on emotion. So if I have friends that are always negative, I'm going to feel that negativity. And so when you have followers who are following you for your crochet, but you're constantly ranting about awful customers or bad experiences in your online shop, or talking down about people that have supported you, or negative things in your life, and this becomes a place for you to rant and vent, you are going to attract very different people to your lives, people who want to hear your negatives, which is not always a good thing because that means they're there to potentially make themselves feel better because they're watching you rant about the negative things in your life. So you want to attract the right people, and that's talking about the right topics and having the right outlook when you're having those conversations. And keep in mind that that's literally, again, you attract what you put out is what you attract. And I want to attract positive people. So I try to keep it positive. Not everything in my life is positive, and I've had those conversations. But I like to have that positive outlook whenever I can, so that tends to be who I attract to my lives. And that keeps that momentum and inspiration and motivation going for me. This point is a huge one. Take time to breathe. Yes, a couple people said that. Thorn said that. Pixie said that. That's good advice. Just breathe. Yes. People may not want to interrupt you with a comment if you're talking. I think that I forget that. Maybe I need to give people some time to take the information in and actually, make a comment, because again, I just talk the whole time. Emma said we could all have a coffee morning where we chat yarn, books, TV, etc. with soft music in the background. Exactly. And again, me going live at noon is not because it's the best time for everyone else. It is 100% personal preference, selfish preference, because I don't want my evenings to be dedicated to going live. I know that noon is probably easier than earlier in the morning because I do think about the people that have jobs where they can take a lunch break. So that's what I used to do when I was still working full-time and running Pink Sheep. I would go live on my lunch break. And if I went live earlier, maybe some people could hop on if they didn't have regular jobs, or if they could work from home, or if they could listen while they were at work. But I figured that the noon time was great. It worked for me. I could stay consistent. It has worked even through my move. I like going live at noon. It works for me. You know, and there are some people who, if they really want to join in, they'll make it work. You know, they'll figure out a way to join in, or they're going to watch it later, you know. So it can't just be all about what your followers need and want. It has to also be what works for you and what fits into your life the way that it needs to. You may want to go live at night. You may want to go live super early in the morning. It has to work for you too, because you're the one who has to stay consistent. Let's see. Filming outside is like, I have the best light. She's 93 million miles away, and I can't control when she's covered by clouds, but objectively the most light watts of light. Yes. And sometimes it's too bright. So I had moments during my past lives when I would go live outside where I'd have to totally move my chair because there was so much light on my face that I was getting washed out. So I would have to move over into the shade because within that hour, the sun had moved. So it was pretty often that I had to just pick my stuff up, move everything over, move the tripod over in the middle of the live. And again, that was okay. I just said, all right, guys, hang tight for just a second. I got to move everything over because I'm starting to get extremely sweaty with the sun being this hot. Pixie Stitch says, I have a ring light tripod that wasn't expensive at all. Awesome. There you go. Got it at Walmart when I was still living in Georgia. Woohoo. There you go. Yes. Thorn says that they have one too. Sorry. Again, just with the she. Always with the she. And he has one too. Ellen says, I have an inexpensive ring light from Walmart as well. It has a clip for my phone and works well. She paid $30. And guys, Amazon is great for that kind of stuff. Amazon and Walmart is the best place to just see what's out there, read reviews. You know, I'm a big review reading person. I like to make sure that it's what I need first. Who else has a ring light? A lot of people have ring lights. Nice. See, like you guys are ahead of me. Let's see. Pixie Stitches, we probably have the same one, Ellen. Helen also has a ring light. All these people have ring lights. No fun when you wear glasses. I hate the look of the reflection of the ring in my glasses. That's true. I'm not sure if there's a way to get away with that. Maybe trying to angle it up higher, you know? I don't know. I haven't had to deal with that. Ellen, oh my gosh, energy zapping people are the hardest. Yes, definitely. It's time for yarns is great advice. If you attract the right people, they'll stick around. And you feel connected to them. It's not just about the connection, getting your followers to connect with you. It's a two-way street. It cannot just be people getting connected with you. You have to feel a connection with them. This is something, and I know we're almost out of time, but I like to bring this up. If you truly want people to continue to support you, you can't just not care about them. I know that sounds kind of simple, but I had someone tell me that they were trying to grow their business. And just so you guys know, I do one-on-one sessions, like business mentoring sessions. And this was during one of my business mentoring sessions that someone told me that, you know, it was difficult. It was difficult for them to be, what's it called? Engaged on Instagram because they just didn't really care about the people that were following them, like about their lives or what they're commenting about. And I knew that it wasn't, it sounds super negative, but it was more about like, I have my own life. I have my own priorities. I'm trying to focus on my business. That's not my top priority. My advice is you should make it a priority, because if people feel like they're talking to a brick wall, they're not going to keep talking. Would you? So if you walked up to a brick wall and you started talking to it and, you know, you realize after a while it's not going to talk back, you're not going to keep trying to talk to it, right? So if you are making the move to be on social media, you do need to find some time to be present. That doesn't mean you have to be on there 24/7, but take a couple of times a week to go in and get to know the people that are supporting you, get to know the people that are commenting, comment back, ask questions. One of the best pieces of advice that I got for starting meaningful conversations on Instagram was to respond to people's comments with a question. It gets them to come back. It keeps the conversation going. It's great for your analytics, but it's also great for starting communication with people. So if someone commented on one of my posts, let's say I ask in a post what people are working on. If someone comments and says, I'm working on a baby blanket, then I'm not going to say, oh, that sounds great. I'm going to say, oh, really? What yarn are you using? How far along are you? Are you enjoying the process? Like, start a conversation in the comments, and that's going to help you actually create true and meaningful relationships, and people are going to want to continue to support you. Telling you guys, I lose my place. Ellen says, I have the same issues. I find if I aim the light upward and play with the settings a bit, it helps. So there you go. It is really, figuring out, like right now, I finally found a really good home for my tripod for my YouTube lives. I think this is really good. I can see my computer, but I can work on stuff too if I want to. The Yarn Fairy says, pretty sure it's just like learning to crochet or any other hobby/skill. The more often you go live or make videos, yes. And you'll still have days where you have a little anxiety. Maybe, you've gotten to a point where you have more people showing up, but then all of a sudden you have a day when like nobody shows up. That happens to me too. It's still a little nerve-wracking, but you just stick with it and you keep moving forward, Thorn says, yes, Yarn Fairy. Yep. Thorn, appreciate it genuinely. Of course, always. Tracy, amen, Ellen. Helen, we just came through a 1.5 years of Zoom meetings, so ring lights were almost a must. That's true. If you did not have good light, ring lights were a big one. Pixie Stitch, right. No one wants to feel like they're just a paycheck. Connection is so important. And it is very, very important. And you don't have to connect with everyone. You can really start to focus and pay attention to the people that keep coming back. So for me, when it comes to who I follow, so if someone, I'm starting to recognize their name because they're commenting so much, then I'm going to go follow them back on Instagram. And I'm going to try to have that conversation, find communities that are easiest for you. So sometimes I fall behind and I can't get to all of my comments on Instagram right away. So I'll have to go back a couple of days later, but it's still worth it to go back. So if I forget and I just haven't had time, I'll go back 2 or 3 days later. And sometimes I'll do it on my computer because it's easier to type up my responses. And I'll go back through all of my older posts and reels and I'll respond to all of those comments, even if it's just with emojis. That's the other beautiful thing. If someone comments with hearts, you can comment back with hearts if you need to, and you just don't have a lot of time to spend crafting, trying to craft a response to emojis. You can just respond with emojis. Let's see. Just making it. Hello. Thanks for this topic. I hope you're enjoying it. This has been a really fun one. And I love when the topics come from you guys, because this was a topic that was requested. It makes it really easy for me to get all of the notes together. The Yarn Fairy, this has been a great hour. Evelyn and friends, lots of wonderful information and connections. Have a beautiful afternoon. Yes, I'm about to wrap it up, I promise. Thorn, learning to give ourselves compassion is like half the battle. Yes. Emma, I really want to make the Max jacket. Yep. So I still have ends that need to be woven in. But this one's going to be, I just have to get the notes into the pattern format. Ellen, thanks for the great chat, Evelyn. As always, the content is so worthwhile and informative. Yay, Ellen, thank you. And thank you for still being an admin for me. And it's time for yarn. I like to use emojis with my comments. Yes, that's it. It definitely helps. I use a lot of emojis. Pixie Stitch, have a fantastic creative day, everyone. Yes, and thank you guys. I will be live this Friday on Instagram with Knit Brooks. So if you guys know Kelly from Knit Brooks, her and her husband make handmade driftwood hooks, and specialty wood hooks, but check her out. She is going to come on and chat with me all about her journey and process as a crocheter and a maker and being in the community, and her and her husband making hooks together now full time. So it's gonna be a fun conversation. That is Friday at 12 p.m. Central Time over on my Instagram channel. And then I will be back on YouTube on Tuesday, next Tuesday, and I think we'll see. It's either going to be a part 2 of the craft show talk, or I'm going to do a DIY hook update, because I plan on starting my DIY hook this week. And I may do an Instagram live later this week working on my hook, and I may do an update and work on my hook during the next one. So we'll see. I have to figure out what I'm doing. And I totally forgot to share my new yarn. So I'll have to do that during the next one and share the new yarn that I got from Hooked, because it's a huge box. Just so you guys can see. That's the box. And let's see how much it weighs. It weighs 13 pounds. So I'll get to show that during the next one. And oh, Jess says, I'm really enjoying the topic. Side note, decided to stick with the current branding. Just made the reading of my brand name easier and more generic. Mostly didn't want all of the what kind of goat. Totally understand. Yes. But you've already really established your brand. So I think that's, I think rebranding is a big decision, having to rethink, logos and websites and, domain names and Instagram names and all of that stuff. So totally understand. And Tracy said I was telling my daughters about the Max jacket. Yes, it should be fun. Okay, guys, we're over time. But I will see y'all soon. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. And until next time, happy hooking. Bye.